Hi and welcome to Cheeky Richard Cooking's jelly cakes made in the pie maker. The first thing we have to do is get a nice bright jelly. We're using a raspberry jelly here and mix it basically according to the packet directions, but I do like to leave a little bit of the water out to make a firmer set of our jelly. So the first thing that we're going to do is just tip that into a bowl, dissolve it in 1 cup of boiling water. You can see it's a nice pink colour. You can basically use any colour that you like, but the pink jelly cakes always look very, very pretty, especially at a kid's party. And we just stir this until it's dissolved. The packet directions call for 200 ml of cold water to be added once this is dissolved. I'm only going to add 100, and that'll make sure that we've got a nice firm set on our jelly. As you're dipping your little jelly cakes, you might find that a few of the crumbs fall off into the jelly. Don't worry too much about that. You can quite easily make the remaining jelly into some trifle if you like. You'll be soaking it in cake anyway. If your packet mixture makes enough cakes, you won't need to do that because the jelly will be all used up. So we're all pretty well dissolved there. We're going to add our cold water now. Okay, we just add our cold water, half of what is normally required to set that jelly, and we're going to put it in a cool place or the fridge to chill down while we make our little cakes in the pie maker. That to one side. To our stand mixer, we're just going to add our packet cake mix. We're just using a vanilla packet cake mix. You can use any flavour that you like. To which we are going to add our milk. The packet called for 150 grams of fresh milk, 2 whole eggs, and 60 grams of softened butter. I'm going to leave a little bit behind in the bowl for greasing our pie maker. Doesn't need very much. That's 60 grams there. Now we're going to mix this on low speed until all the ingredients are combined, and then we're going to mix it on medium speed for 2 minutes. Scrape down the sides, make sure all the dry stuff's down with the wet stuff, and then mix it for 2 minutes on medium speed. Okay, after 2 minutes, we've got a nice smooth creamy mix. We're just going to scrape off our beater and portion this with a cookie scoop into our well greased pie maker. This is what you should have. Okay, now we're just going to brush a little melted butter into our pie maker to make sure that our little jelly cakes release quite easily. Plenty of butter in there. Don't worry, it'll add to the flavour anyway. Give it a nice brown crust. Now I'm using a size 16 cookie scoop and just drop your cake mix in there. Brush a bit of butter into the top too so that it doesn't stick, and close the lid. I'm going to cook those until they're nice and golden brown, and then we might have to flip them. It just depends on your cake mix. Okay, after a few short minutes, it's nice and springy to the touch. They've actually left the sides a bit and they're smelling quite delicious. So just take those out and put the next batch in. A little brush of butter so it doesn't stick. And not quite a full scoop. Down. About 5 minutes later, if they haven't been overloaded, you can just turn them over and just brown them on the other side. They're basically cooked. We're just going to get a little bit of colour on the top. Okay, nice and brown all over now. We're just going to take you little guys out and reload it. Make sure you always put a little bit of butter in each time, because the last little cake will have absorbed all of the butter out of the little shells, and the next lot will definitely stick. So you could use a spray if you want. The next lot's in for 5 or so minutes. Okay, I'm going to try a little experiment here. I've just got some red jam. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of jam into the top of each little cake. Now it's already been loaded, it hasn't been cooking for very long, and we're going to smooth some cake batter back over the top of it and see that it doesn't actually sink into the cake and land on the bottom. So we've got about half a teaspoon of jam in each. And we're just going to cover those with a little bit more of our batter because we don't have very much of it left, and certainly not enough to make another cake. We'll just cover that little bit of jam up, and that should cook into it without sinking to the bottom. Now I've made jam donuts before. It's a completely different batter. This is very, very light. So bear with me. If it works, it'll be a coup for us. Okay, and just close the lid. Okay, we've just made 16 little jelly cakes. 4 of them have actually got jam inside them, or jelly inside them, and the rest of them are in various sizes. I made some smaller ones which are more like a bite size for little kids, and I've got some larger ones for the adults at your next birthday party. The ingredients are in the recipe box below. It's just basically a cheap packet mix. You don't go too crazy with this, with some desiccated coconut and a jelly mixed up according to the packet directions, but take a little bit of the water out so that you've got a nice firm set on your jelly jellies. These have to cool completely now, because if you roll them in the jelly, it's just going to re-melt and it's not going to cool down and absorb the coconut very well. So just leave those to cool and then we'll get on to our next step. Okay, now the jelly is set slightly. It's just been out at room temperature. It hasn't been in the fridge, and it's a little bit gloopy, as you can see. And we're just using the wet hand, dry hand method of dipping our little cakes in our jelly, rolling them around so they're well coated with the jelly, and then rolling them in our coconut. Shake off any excess because it will fall down into the coconut and discolor it. These are really moist and light, so this is what you should have. Great little snack for the kids. Any jelly left over can be just used as jelly, or you can in fact use it in a trifle, maybe cutting up one of these little cakes and putting it in the bottom of a little serving dish and putting a bit of custard cream and maybe a bit of fruit on top of it. I hope you enjoyed this little cooking demonstration of Cheeky Richer Cooking's jelly cakes made in the pie maker. If you would like to see more interesting recipes and ideas, just check out our Cheeky Richer Cooking channel, and don't forget to please subscribe, and do come back and visit us again soon. We have so much more to show you, and we're uploading lots of videos. Now you could roll these in chocolate icing if you like, a very runny chocolate icing, and you would have little Lamington cakes as well. So there's lots of possibilities with this little idea, and you don't have to ice them because the jelly does the champion job of it. Just keep them in the fridge. The jelly will set even more, Jello will set even more, but don't leave them soaking in it, because if you soak them in it, it will soak in a bit much and make it a little bit gooey on the outside, and we still want to have a little bit of texture to our lovely little cakes. You can see it's got quite a thick coating on it without being too set. And I'll just break one in half for you and show you what they look like inside. And the jelly sort of soaked into the edges there. Nice and soft and moist. Yum yum. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.